His vision is matched only by his determination to change the narrative about Africa. Under his leadership, Afreximbank has evolved into a group comprising the bank, its impact fund subsidiary, the Fund for Export Development in Africa (FEDA), and its insurance management arm, Afrexinsure. The group also includes several subsidiaries and strategic initiatives, such as Mansa, an archiving platform for customer due diligence on African entities, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System (PAPS), Creative African Nexus (CANEX), the African Medical Center of Excellence, the Intra-African Trade Fair (IATF), and the African Quality Assurance Center (ICAC). During Benedict Oramah's tenure, the bank's balance sheet assets have grown from $5 billion in 2015 to $37 billion in 2023.
The continent is steadily reversing the course of deindustrialization. This means that traditional trade finance structures, which are heavily focused on commodity finance, will require a rethink. With the rise of manufacturing giants in Africa, opportunities for the emergence of domestic and regional value chains, as well as the growth of small and medium-sized enterprises, are beginning to emerge.
Mr. Oramah began his professional career at the Nigerian Export-Import Bank Nexum in 1992 as assistant manager. In March 1994, he joined the African Export-Import Bank as one of its first employees. In 2004, he was appointed director of the Business Planning and Development Department. 2008, it made a decisive career move, becoming Executive Vice President of Business Development and Corporate Banking. Then came the coronation. On July 13, 2015, he succeeded Jean-Louis Ekra as Afreximbank's third president. His leadership is renewed for a second 5-year term in 2020.
I think that over the last few great years, people like Professor Oramah have succeeded in making and building what Afreximbank is today, going through difficult times of crisis where Africa has had to invent itself, has had to be agile, thanks to him and other Afreximbankers working under his leadership, and this resilience must continue.
Grâce à des acteurs comme lui et à beaucoup d'autres Afreximbankers qui sont sous son leadership. Et cette résilience-là doit continuer.
Boosting intra-African trade has been his leitmotif, and he has pursued a strategy of generating significant financing for local industrialization with the aim of increasing the value of products and strengthening processing capacities in Africa.
The good, the bad, the difficult, the painful. We've been through it all together. And so this institution is here with a staff, with a culture, and as I say, with stakeholders who are very, very attached to Afrexim's mission. And so what I see on the magnificent edifice that President Oramah has left us, as President Ekra did before him, and so on. Here we are, in continuity, and we are going to complete the mission.
In 2021, 2 years after the first confinements that brought African economies to a standstill, Benedict Oramah was in fact already in the coup d'après, that of economic integration, with the establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, of which Afreximbank is a pillar. In particular, the Pan-African Bank has been mandated by the African Union to set up a Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, known as PAPS, designed in particular to facilitate cross-border payments in the various local currencies concerned. Between 2015 and 2021, more than $35 billion in loans will have been granted to African trade, with intra-African trade increasing significantly, 0.3%, almost a third of Afreximbank's total loan portfolio.
Professor Oramah's legacy has been outstanding. A very, very important part of Africa's history in economic integration. He played that part. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that he played a very important part in the process of economic integration of our continent. Over the last 10 years, we've seen increased volumes of investment in industrial development, in trade supporting infrastructure, building, of course, on the 20 years before that. And so I think his legacy speaks for itself. And I personally am very, very grateful as an African. I'm very grateful as an African for his public service to our continent and his dedication to this big vision that all of us share. As for the next leadership,
if I can say it in one word, our legacy is a legacy that seeks to transform Africa. An Africa that is in control of its resources and is in control of its future, is in control of its destiny. It is a legacy that speaks to the full economic emancipation of the continent.
Starting in 2018, the bank has initiated the first Inter-African Trade Fair, IATF. The year Mr. raised awareness of business opportunities on the continent and elsewhere in the world, a winning bet after the first edition held in September 2018 in Cairo, Egypt, headquarters of Afreximbank. The second fair, organized in Durban, South Africa, in November 2021, will have attracted over 30,000 participants, physical and virtual, from 128 countries for a cumulative amount of transactions concluded in excess of $42 billion.
For the continent, his drive, his energy is very infectious. Usually some of us, when we are ending our tenure, we tend to start slowing down. He stepped up. He started working even harder than he ever had. And we are wondering what's going on here. That's the kind of person he is. And I think if you understand him, I think to him it was, look, I have a few months left. I want to ensure I throw everything I have into. I want to leave and sit down on my chair in a year and not say, oh, I wish I did something.
Professor Oramah's story is also that of the Caribbean, a region which, disconnected from its roots by colonization, can today rebuild itself by exchanging with Africa, thanks to the African Trade and Investment Forum, ACTIV, whose 2025 edition is scheduled to take place in St. George's, Grenada, from July 28 to 29 under the theme Resilience and Transformation, Strengthening Economic Cooperation between Africa and the Caribbean in an Era of Global Uncertainty.
We now hope to see a situation where Nigeria, Ghana, we have bilateral agreement with Barbados. We want to see where we abolish the need for instance, visa entry requirement between Africa and the Caribbean countries. And these are going to be preludes to us now reconnecting fully between ourselves. We want to see a situation where we can bring to the fore the endemic problem of connectivity.
We planted a seed that would sprout into a platform for an overdue embrace with our own. At a time, we as a people need it the most. Today, we celebrate the coming to life of a similar seed we planted here some 41 months ago. One of our decisive moves towards righting the wrongs of colonialism. It also make it possible for Africa and the Caribbean businesses to view exhibitions ongoing in other trade centers across Africa and in Barbados.
Since 1994, Benedict Oramah has been advocating a structured finance approach capable of bypassing the uncertainties of traditional markets by transferring risk to those that can absorb them. This approach, developed in his book, Foundations and Evolution of Structured Trade Finance, has triggered a major transformation in the space of 3 decades. South-South trade has risen from 23 to 68% of African trade. There's no doubt that Benedict Oramah's unshakable faith in Africa's potential will continue to drive his commitment to the continent's development after Afreximbank.